Hello and welcome to MetalshubTalks, the webinar series where we explore the digitalization of raw material markets. My name is Davide Nava and I'm your host for today. In this episode, we are looking at the state of AI for buying and selling raw materials. Now, why this topic? AI is in every industry conversation this year. Nearly every company in metals, mining, and recycling is experimenting with it somewhere. And most of them are still working out which part of it belongs in daily practice. What is interesting is where it actually landed so far. So document work, contracts and specification, market intelligence, the operation side of mining. The commercial side, though, the actual buying and selling of raw material has been much slower to follow. And there is a particular reason for that, which sits in the data. The commercial knowledge behind every deal, as you might know, as you might experience in your day-to-day lives, lives in email, in phone calls, in spreadsheets, reports, or on somebody's desktop. And then there's the ERP that might hold some of the transaction, but it rarely holds the full picture of how you got to that transaction. And the more places that context is scattered across, the harder it becomes for any assistant, human or AI, to work with it precisely. Because a model or a person can only hold so much context at once. Don't worry though, this was a mouthful, but we are going to go through it in just a second. So here is what we want to explore today. Where does AI genuinely help a buyer, a seller, or a trader right now? And where is it still ahead of itself? What does a company actually need in place before any of it works? And what becomes possible once your commercial data is structured and your own AI assistant can reach it directly? Well, I'm not alone today. To help me walk you through it, we have two very special guests. Let me introduce you to Dr. Sebastian Kreft, co-founder and managing director at Metalshub. Many of you will know Sebastian already from the series. He spends most of his week in conversation with buyers and sellers across metal, mining, and recycling. Sebastian, great to have you back with us. How are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, looking forward to talk about this exciting topic.
Nice. And we're also joined by Julien Dedek, our head of AI platform at Metalshub. Julien leads the team, building the capabilities we're going to look at today, including the showcase, which will happen later in this session. Spoiler. Julien, welcome to MetalshubTalks. And I believe this is your first time on the series. How are you feeling?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Now that you have met our guest, let me quickly show you how you can interact with us today. It's very important. In the bottom right corner of your screen, you have a chat section and a question section. You can use the chat right now to introduce yourself. You also find Jordi there, our colleagues, which will help you navigate this webinar. Tell us where you're joining from and what you're hoping to take away, or if you already are a master in AI, in raw material buying and selling, please share your tips with us. And if you have a question for Sebastian, me, or Julien at any point, you can use the question section still at the bottom of your screen. It's anonymous, your name will not be shown, and we have a dedicated Q&A at the end of the session where we try to go through as many questions as possible. There is a showcase in the middle of this session, about halfway through, where Julien will put our own very in development AI assistant to work with Metalshub and walks us through it. So stay with us for that, and let's dive in. Sebastian, I want to start with you today. We mentioned that AI is in every industry conversation this year. When you look specifically at metals, mining, or recycling, what are companies actually using it for today?
Yeah, so I spend a lot of time in procurement teams and sales teams around the metals and mining industry that are selling and buying raw materials. Generative AI is really a fascinating new technology, and I think all of the management teams agree that it has a lot of potential and that you need to get into it and that you need to start using it in some way or form. I know some companies that are already running some pilots, some projects to test it for certain applications, but there are also still some companies that haven't got started yet. And I think for those, it's very important to get started. And this could be your starting point, because later on, Julien will show you actually how Metalshub is integrating AI and how you can use AI when using Metalshub. So have I seen companies that are using it at scale yet? I would say not yet. And I think some of the reasons are quite obvious. In raw materials, you're dealing with very high value transactions. Usually it's not so many transactions. So it's maybe not the natural starting point for pilots. So a lot of companies rather start in a place where you have many transactions which are rather lower value. Because as we all know by now, AI can make mistakes. And in raw materials, these mistakes can be quite costly. Nevertheless, I think it's an area which has great potential, and there are a lot of applications for AI in sourcing raw materials and selling raw materials, and we're going to look at some of those applications a little bit later.
Nice. I think that draws a really good picture of where we are at the moment. And if we want to dive a little bit deeper into your knowledge, what do companies tell you they would like, at least AI, to take off their plate if we have a magic wand today?
Yeah, I think when we started out, and probably for us as private users, it was the same. It was about asking questions. I think the first time I was using ChatGPT, I was asking some questions. And that's, I would say, the 2025 era, how people and companies got started by querying data and asking questions and hoping to get good answers from AI agents or AI systems. I think this year, the conversation has shifted. Now it has become more about agentic AI. Agentic AI means using AI tools to get things done, to get tasks done. And that can be with human supervision, where someone is kept in the loop, but it also can be autonomous. And when I look at use cases, I think starting out, it's around simple things like confirming purchase orders or sales confirmations, making changes or generating these change notifications. So more simple things. But if I look more in the future, I see also more advanced applications. So around market intelligence, having a market intelligence agent that can support the buyer or the seller, or something like a negotiation agent that can help with the negotiation.
Thank you. Those are really interesting cues and also little spoilers, right, on where we're heading in our development. And it's also an interesting point that I would like to bring up to the people watching. So if you could have a magic wand and take off something from your plate and give it to AI, what would that be? Please share it with us in the chat. And Julien, going forward from Sebastian's perspective that just described, before an AI project on any size, like Sebastian described, can start or can even have a chance to succeed, what does a company actually need in place?
So I would say the most important thing is that you have the structured data first. So the quality of the answers you're getting from a large language model depends on the quality of the context you feed in. And if you are using scattered context all over the place, which is unstructured, it makes it really, really hard for the model to find the right information first. And then also the context of the model is capped, so it can only hold so much data in it.
And for the audience watching, can you tell us in simple terms why the context is important when talking about AI?
So the context is important because, as you probably heard, there are so-called tokens that the large language models are using, and everything that you feed in gets split up into these tokens and then is used. And most models have a maximal capacity of 1 million tokens. And if you feed a 50 megabytes spreadsheet into the context, this will completely fill up the context of the model. And maybe only one row in that spreadsheet might be interesting for your task. And this is not really helpful, right? So you cannot really fulfill the task you want to fulfill. And yeah, in the end, it's very, very hard to work with that in a larger workflow.
I totally agree. And that is important to understand that, especially for high-stake tasks, like Sebastian described, there are limits on how much we can throw at an AI and how much of our specific context the AI can hold at once. And especially when working with different types of AI, we see that there's a difference between the AI that describes Sebastian at the beginning, where you just chat with an assistant, right? That solves one problem and gives you one answer. And instead, there is a new way of working, which is an AI that can act based on what you're doing, knowing your data, knowing your context that we just explained. And why does that distinction matter here?
Well, if you use the LLM in the past, for example, just on a chat-based interface, you can basically do with the answer from the LLM whatever you want, right? You can judge if that is a good answer, it's a bad answer. And this doesn't work in the world of agentic AI. So there you have workflows where the data that is consumed by the large language model is fed into that workflow. And if there is a mistake in there, or this data is unstructured and takes the wrong information, then it ends up in that workflow. And that's the whole thing. Like you already know, large language models are probabilistic. And in order to ensure that if you use agentic AI, you need some engineering being done in order to ensure that the quality of the data is so reliable that you can use it in the end in your workflows.
Absolutely. And it's really important to still understand that when we feed the models with structured data, we are able to remove sort of probabilistic way of answering from AI, which is just guessing the best response instead of grounding it into data. And
maybe jumping in here, Davide and Julien, I think what companies also need to work out are some very basic questions around using AI. So there's a governance question. So what if there is a mistake that happens? Who takes on accountability and responsibility for that mistake if the AI makes a mistake? There are some other questions. You mentioned token costs money. And I heard about some companies where AI has been so successful that actually the costs have been spiraling out of control, so that they've actually started to limit the usage of AI to certain people or groups of people. And maybe the third one is around data security. Obviously, there is a large language model processing your data. So there are questions around data security and what happens to that data if that is fed into a third-party large language model.
Exactly. And when it comes to, I saw that everyone watching probably is worried too about it, looking at the chat. So with the worries that come with sharing data from a commercial perspective, we are very careful with it. And we are trying to approach it from the best safety perspective possible. Can you share, the both of you, maybe starting with Julien from a technical perspective, and maybe Sebastian, you then from a business perspective, on how we are approaching the safety side of AI?
Yeah, I mean, Metalshub is now around more than 9 years, and data security has from the very beginning been of utmost importance to us, because we're dealing with raw material transactions, which are very high in value and commercially very sensitive data. So we always wanted to give full transparency and control to our customers, and we've never shared any data with any third party without permission of our customers. And the same we will do with AI. So Julien is going to talk about how we're going to get started with AI using an MCP, and Julien is going to discuss this a bit later, where actually the power sits with our customers and they have full control who is going to process their data. And something similar will happen when we introduce AI features within the Metalshub platform. We will give full transparency and choice to our customers, whether they want to use it and how they want to use it, so that they're always fully in control.
Yeah, and I just adding to that, because Sebastian already mentioned the MCP now. From a data security perspective, we are using the exact same data that you as a user of Metalshub are also seeing on the platform. So there's virtually no difference in the data that you can see displayed on the website than you would receive over the MCP. But we're getting into more detail soon.
Perfect. So this provides us with the perfect bridge to start talking about our MCP connector. And we have seen what's the state of the art, what the companies are looking for. And now we're getting, and we already mentioned the MCP connector. So this is, of course, for Julien. Please help us understand what is an MCP, like we never heard of AI before.
Okay, what is MCP? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it is an open standard that got adopted by the whole AI industry. It was initially created by Anthropic, the creators of Claude, and they openly released it then, and everybody adopted it to have a single standard that everybody is now using. And you can imagine it like an interface that is like a universal plug, I would say. So an LLM that you're using can, with the help of MCP, reach data in a secure way, for example, from Metalshub. That you can imagine it a little bit like an USB-C plug that works everywhere. So you can connect via MCP to ERP systems, for example, to CRM systems, to platforms like ours, and all these integrations or interfaces that in the past were super costly. If you ever done an ERP integration, for example, or other integrations where you need customized interfaces, these are not needed anymore, because the MCP protocol allows a large language model to consume data of all these resources on its own without having a custom integration there. And the magic, in my opinion, really comes if you use these MCP connectors side by side. If you have all these different sources that used to be data silos, then working together and then receiving from all of these data sources then exactly what you need to fulfill your workflows. And this is really where the magic happens, which creates workflows that haven't been possible in that way before. And that's, in my opinion, very exciting.
It is absolutely. So having the possibility and a universal way and a safe way of connecting multiple sources into your own system is revolutionary, and that's exactly what we are transitioning on to showing exactly right now. So we prepared a showcase of exactly our MCP connector using Claude. Claude is our tool of choice for now, but again, MCP is an open standard, so it's not tied to that platform. We're just using it because it's our tool of choice. And before Julien starts with the showcase, let me just walk you through what you're about to see so it's easier to follow, and it comes in 3 parts. So we're going to have part 1. We will see an email arriving into our inbox from production, and we'll see how the assistant can turn an unstructured data like an email into a structured demand notice that sits in a structured platform like Metalshub. And the second step will be to transform that demand notice into a published inquiry, with the right suppliers invited just for that purpose. And then in the third stage, we're going to see how that inquiry can receive offer, and we can interact with it until closing. So exactly the full process from email to closing an inquiry. Julien, the floor is yours. Introduce us to what we're looking at, and let's amaze us with the MCP.
Thank you, Davide. I will share now my screen, and you will hopefully see a black screen now. Yes. So let me get started with the first part of the demo, which is the email to the demand notice. Before we start, I quickly want to show you how it looks like and how easy it is to connect to the Metalshub MCP when you're using, for example, Claude, but this would also work in a similar fashion for Copilot or ChatGPT, for example. So this is the Claude connector setting page, and you basically, if your internal IT already configured the adapter for you, which is very easy, it's just 3 fields and you are off to go. You just click then the connection button, and then you're prompted to a authorization page, where you have to log in with your Metalshub credentials first. I'm already logged in now, so you won't see this step. And then you can authorize. Just click it and it's done. And when you then go to the details of that connector, you will see all the available tools that we have. And I'm just very briefly scrolling over it because you already see it's quite a lot. So right now we're about 125 tools that we are going to have for the MCP. And yeah, you can basically cover everything that you can right now do on the platform with these tools. And
yeah. The first time I did this, Julien, I was really surprised how easy it is. And it takes less than a minute to connect a new software tool to Claude. It's really amazing.
Exactly. So let's get started with our demo case with the first one. So like Davide said, I received an email now from our production department, and I want to have structured data out of it. So I prompt now that please, Claude, use the MCP of Metalshub to create a demand notice. I can just, like you see, create a demand notice for it on Metalshub, and then paste the email I received, the text, just into the field. And then this is enough to fulfill the task. So you can see that it's a ferromolybdenum demand notice, 24 metric tons. The delivery location is Düsseldorf, and then the required delivery will have to take place in the first week of next month. And now I'm pressing the button. And what is now happening, Claude is using the MCP of Metalshub and calls so-called tools, which provide the functionality that Claude can use of Metalshub. And speed it up a little bit in order for you to not wait so long, but it uses now different tools like list product, list demand notices, delivery locations. And with these answers it's receiving, it can now fulfill my task. And it's figured now out, oh, you don't have actually a delivery location Düsseldorf in your on Metalshub. So what I'm supposed to do now? So first of all, very good. But what I want now is I want a certain name for that. So please, I will prompt now, yeah, please use factory A as a delivery location. So that's not so generic Düsseldorf. And
yeah, and that's what I like about Claude and the new generation of AI tools. They don't assume information, but they actually ask you for missing information proactively.
Yeah, exactly. Human in the loop is super important. And if you might have seen it very quickly now, it created the delivery location for me. And now it creates the demand notice for me. When you're using the Metalshub MCP for the first time, you will see a lot of these windows, if you're using Claude at least, which tell you, can I use this tool or not? And you always have to, in the first usage, actively click on it and say, yeah, I want this tool to use, or I want Claude to use that tool. Please go ahead. And if you don't want that, you can always say, no, please don't do it. So if you don't want, for example, negotiation to be created or whatnot, this would be the place for you to intervene and then say no. So let's go ahead. The demand notice is now created. It gives me a summary of the demand notice. So basically everything I wanted. I have the delivery location, the quantity, the right product, and also the email text got added as a note into the demand notice. But I mean, it can't tell me anything, right? So maybe it hallucinated something. Let me check on the platform if it's actually worked. And now I'm asking it to please give me a link of it and lead to Metalshub. And that's what actually happens then. I get a link. I have to quickly log in. But then I'm able to see the demand notice on Metalshub. And like you see, it's everything that was contained in the email. It has the right delivery location, and it has some additional instructions from the production department in there. And just by pasting it into Claude, using the Metalshub MCP, this is easily done, which would have taken probably way longer before.
Yeah, and Julien, I guess you could take it one step further. You could also create a schedule task in Claude. If the email inbox is connected, to check, let's say, every hour the email inbox, whether a demand notice has arrived, and then automatically create a demand notice in these scenarios.
Yes, exactly. That would be possible and can really take off a lot of work from your plate. Like, I mean, it's just a copy and paste task in the end, but if you don't have to deal with that in the end, it's really, really a game changer, I think, in my opinion.
Oh.
So now, since we have the demand notice, I think this is a good idea now to create an inquiry from it. What do you think?
Let's go.
So this looks great. Please create an inquiry on Metalshub for it. And I wanted to use the standard terms I'm always using. So it will now just look for my past listings or past inquiries, and will check for, okay, where did I use that product in the past? And will take these information then in order to create a completely new inquiry out of it. And this is then also checking now which suppliers I've used in the past, which are my FIMO suppliers. And now we are ending up with this summary, yet again, of an inquiry, which has the same information I provided earlier in the demand notice first. But also then now, if you look at the invitees, it has all my 2 approved FIMO relationships also added into it. And right now, just out of demo purposes, this is a private listing. But of course, if I want to make the use of the network we have on Metalshub and maybe receive offers from suppliers I haven't got in touch with, I can create a public inquiry, which leads to maybe more offers on my inquiry, and then also makes use of the network we are having on Metalshub. So as you see right now, this is currently unpublished. So it's a draft that we are using here. And yet again, of course, human in the loop, right? So I want to check now if everything is correct. And yet again, I'm asking for a link in order to check if everything on Metalshub is also as we've seen here in the summary now. And it creates the URL for me now, and I can quickly check. It's the draft that I created with the terms I am usually having. Yeah, looks very good.
Yeah. And Julien, now you had to ask the question, please also give me the link. You can also teach Claude, right? To say every time that I want to create an inquiry on Metalshub, please to provide the link to the draft. How would that work?
Yeah, exactly. You could, for example, just add this to your instructions in Claude, or you could add a skill for it that tells you that if I'm using Metalshub, please always attach the link when I'm creating something. Sometimes it actually just does it on its own, like we will see in the next demo. So sometimes like we said already in the beginning, the probabilistic nature of these models then not always ensuring that this is then happening on its own, but with the skill, it will happen for sure. Yes. So now let's publish the inquiry, because I mean, it's a draft. I checked it now, looked all good. And now we're using this activate inquiry tool, and it's done. And yet again, I got now the link automatically this time. And I can now check if I'm receiving offers on this. And yeah, can also see in the invitees tab if the emails got sent out or not, and if they were viewed or not. So very, very cool for just using the large language model, and didn't have to type anything into Metalshub on my own, and it just saved a lot of time. Yeah, so then let's come to the last part of the demo. Let's imagine that after some time I received now offers on my inquiry, and I want now to check what offers I got. Please qualify, normalize, and compare them. And then we want, of course, to negotiate a little bit on it. So I am sending a message now, and then let's see what comes back.
And so this is now like a negotiation agent, which helps you with the negotiation.
Exactly. So it will now give me an overview of all the offers I received, will normalize that to the conditions of my inquiry. And then I have the full possibility now to compare it. And Claude really gives you this very nice table where I can see the prices, and if they're actionable or not, if they are on spec or not, which is also usually takes time to see if that's the case or not. So that's a very nice overview, and it also already gives me the best price here. And now it also automatically asks me which approach I should use to counter the offers. And I think it would be, for demonstration purposes, to just ask everyone now for a flat percent of their current offer, for example, like the 3% here. And yeah, we'll use that now. And now it calculates the reduction of the prices, and then will also create the counter offers. So 5 at the time, I think it is then, and it gives me yet again an overview and just confirms numbers look correct to me. The terms stay exactly as they were. I just want to negotiate the price. And now please send it. And you can see like this, the human is still in the loop, right? It's not doing everything automatically. It is waiting on your input and not going off and doing whatever. Here, for example, it just realized that the delivery dates are not correct anymore, and asked now to auto shift all the delivery windows, because it was an old inquiry. And I say now, yeah, please do that. And it gives me now the updates. First counter got sent. And now we are continuing with all of the rest ones.
I guess this is a very simple example, but there's a lot more you can do about it. You can, again, create a skill, explain Claude how negotiations should work, how it works in your company for a certain category. You could also tell it, please look at the past negotiation behavior of the individual suppliers and draw some conclusions how I will get to the best result. So just give it the goal and it will come up with ways to achieve that goal.
Exactly. And now, like I said earlier, now I got with every counter offer now a link, and I can now quickly go through every counter offer yet again and can quickly check if everything looks correct on Metalshub. So yeah, the price looks good to me. Same for this one. And also this one. So that looks all good. And yeah, let's go back. And now imagine that after some time, we received now again counters or updates maybe to our counter offer. So I can ask like before, please give me an overview of what happened on my inquiry. And now Claude over the MCP is collecting the news updates and shows me exactly in a summarized way what happened. So I got a counter again back and one rejection, and for the others I haven't got a response yet. So it asked me now what to do, and I think I will accept the offer now, and this will then create or use the accept negotiation tool, and I can say how long the validity, the validity of my acceptance is valid. And now it's confirming again that everything is correct. And yeah, here we go. It now accepted. And now the counterparty just has to confirm it finally for us to have a contract. And in the last step now, I think it makes sense to just cancel everything else, because I'm trusting, of course, my supplier, and we can just go ahead. And yeah, now I wanted to reject everything else because I want to conclude with the party where I accepted the offer.
Yeah, maybe Julien, what I find really fascinating, I mean, over the last years, a lot of customers have told us what they would like to do in Metalshub. And always there would be significant effort for us to build this customization for one customer who needs a certain analysis, for example. So we had one customer who said, I always want to look at the past 5 RFQs for a product, and I want to see all the suppliers that have quoted over the last 5 RFQs, and then I want to kind of get a picture of the history, how this RFQ for this category has evolved. And we said, we can build this, but it's a significant effort of time and money. But now having this MCP connector, you don't need to build that customization, because you can just run it through Claude and you have it immediately. So for me, the value that you can get out of Metalshub is going up exponentially, because you can do these customizations yourself now.
Yeah, exactly. And you can fit it to the workflows you may be already having and not have to build around somebody else's tool, right? You can just use the functionality here that we are providing. And I think that's a game changer in my opinion. And yeah, to quickly wrap it up here now. So everything got now either rejected or canceled. And here again on the inquiry, I can see that this is also reflected on the platform. And yeah, this is it. Thank you very much.
Julien, thank you. And this was honestly amazing, seeing how we can so quickly go from an unstructured email to a negotiation agent that tells us which is the best offer that we received, right? And again, I want to say that this is a first look of something that we're building. And I'm sure there will be a lot of questions going on in the people watching, but there is one that I have for you, which might be around exactly the topic you were discussing, right? With an MCP and connection to an AI, anybody can tailor the way of working or the specific needs to their workflow instead of waiting for us to develop that functionality. And Sebastian, this is for you. Why are we going this way instead of creating AI functionalities inside the platform?
Yeah. So I think we have realized that the MCP is the foundation which will get our customers started with AI. So we built this MCP first. We have already built it. We're now refining it, and it will be available probably at the end of this quarter. Right, Julien?
Yeah, exactly.
And from there's two different ways to use that MCP. So either you can connect your own AI agent to our MCP, and that's what Julien has just shown, or you can use agents and co-pilots that we will build inside of Metalshub. And there you will use Metalshub AI tools. And we understand that not everyone wants to use that MCP with their own AI tool stack. So we will have both options for our customers available. And I think here in the chat, there's already a lot of questions around data security. And again, there's different ways to solve this if data security is extremely important to you. So there are also some large language models which are self-hosted on your own servers, which then don't passport any data to any other servers. So all the data stays with you. So you need to make that choice, which LLM and which model do you actually want to use. It's certainly a trade-off between performance of certain models and data security. And I think that is a decision that every company needs to make for themselves. What is more important for them?
Exactly, I wanted to touch on this too, right? So as we explained at the beginning, the connection is not a one-to-one binding with a platform like Claude. It's a way of interacting with our platform, and it gives power to the people to then model it or design it in their company as their needs go. So higher compliance, higher privacy policies inside the company can be adapted, but that doesn't change the way of interacting in the new way that we're developing between a user and our platform, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we don't have enough time to go into all of the details.
Exactly.
Also, the big AI providers, they will have different plans. If you want that the data, for example, stays in Europe, then some providers have a special plan for this. So a lot of details, but definitely it's a very important topic to address.
But this is also a good point, I guess, to share with the people that if anybody is interested in testing this, please reach out to us. This is not a public beta yet, but we are accepting working with selected companies and see what this MCP or many other AI functionalities can do for you. So please reach out to us. We're our website. You have the emails. Please do so. So I have to sadly go into the Q&As, and I'm happy we already covered the privacy and data security side of things. And I think I saw a very important question that most people, not only in our industry, is asking. And Sebastian, this is for you, I guess. Will AI replace buyers, sellers, people in the industry?
Yeah, I can give my personal opinion on that. In raw materials, I think for quite some time, AI will provide support. If we look at the kind of transactions that we're dealing with, it's multi-million dollars usually. And there you will always have to have a human in the loop. And actually, if you look at the number of transactions, it's not so high. So the benefit from automating these tasks is probably lower than the risk of having a major problem. just because of the amount of money that we're talking about. If this is about C parts, which are very low value and very high frequency, I can see this coming in the near future in some companies, that they say we will automate some of these procurement processes, because even if a mistake happens, the impact is very low and there's a certain efficiency gain on that side. Also, if you look at the more operational procurement processes, like people that are still taking information and creating manually a purchase order in the system. So I think these kind of activities in the future can be done by a tool in a very reliable way.
Awesome. Julien, do you want to add something or?
No, that was very good.
Yeah, I do agree. So Julien, Sebastian, thank you both. We came in here knowing very little about our MCP, and now we have a full overview of what is happening at the moment and what people can expect in the future. And if there is one thing to take away, is that none of this starts with AI. It always starts with a commercial process and a digitalization process and structuring information inside the company to then being able to actually interact with them in a futuristic way, I want to say. So again, for the audience, if there's any question we didn't get to, please leave it in the question section. We will make sure to reach out to you on any of your concern. A recording of this session will be available to everyone who registered, and will go up on our website where you can find it in a page and you can share it with anyone who could not make it today, and especially your colleagues. The next Metalshub talk will happen at the end of September, and is going to be about modernizing raw material procurement in foundries. That will be a very interesting one. So check out our website to register. And as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Julien.
Thank you very much.
And see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.